Jeremiah 8:18 to 9:2. I read it for you. O my comforter in sorrow, my heart is faint within me. Listen to the cry of my people from a land far away. Is the Lord not in Zion? Is the King no longer there? Why have they provoked me to anger with their images, with their worthless foreign idols? The harvest is past, the summer has ended, and we are not saved. Since my people are crushed, I am crushed. I mourn, and horror grieves me. Is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no physicians there? Why then is there no healing for the wound of my people? Oh, that my head were a spring of water, and my eyes a fountain of tears. I would weep day and night for the slain of my people. Oh, that I had in the desert a lodging place for travelers, so that I might leave my people and go away from them, for they are all adulterous, a crowd of unfaithful people. This is word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. All right, everyone, we continue our journey, book of Jeremiah. It's the fourth time. The last 3 weeks we read through the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Don't worry, we're not going to go chapter 4 today. We're not going to go like one chapter a week. We're not going to go like 50, 60 weeks for the Jeremiah. We'll jump up here and there. We'll go a little faster. So today we read Jeremiah chapter 8 and 9, okay? And Jeremiah chapter, the fourth time. As I shared in the beginning of our Jeremiah journey, I already shared, it's not easy book. It's not easy book to read. It's not easy book to preach, not because it's difficult to understand, but because it's not a message we like, right? I mean, again, as a pastor preacher, when I prepare the message that people might not be interested, it's kind of a burden to me. It happened. There was a Korean congregation event during the week, and I went there. I met one of a Korean woman who's not my church member, and she came to me and then she greeted me. Oh, Pastor, good to see you. I'm listening to your sermon very well these days. So, I mean, she's not my church member, so it looks like obviously she's listening online, like Korean, the worship. And as a pastor, I was happy when she said, "Oh, I'm listening to the sermon very well these days." And she added, "Oh, where can I find the more the Samuel sermons?" So, we went through the book of Samuel for like more than a year, right? And it sounds like Jeremiah is not that interested. We like you, Samuel. So where can I find the more video on Samuel? So I said, oh yeah, go church YouTube, go to all the video. The previous Samuel was there. So I mean, Samuel was exciting story, epics, David and the Goliath and Saul and all the wars, and those are good stories, right? I had a fun. We explored all all the epics and stories that brought the message. But as you know, Jeremiah is like punishing, like rebuking, and the crying. Even the title, weeping prophet. Who like the weeping, right? It's like we're talking about weeping prophet. But as you know, we're not supposed to read only part we read. We believe every part of Bible can be word of God, and then it's become our really good nutrition for our spirit. Maybe the old saying, the thing bitter in your mouth, good for your body. Maybe let's approach the way. Maybe not easy to hear in our ear, but maybe will go down to our heart and challenge us. So that's book of Jeremiah. Okay. So Jeremiah, as we go through, we share this important thing. God brought the sin of Israel, and that sin was not like an ethical moral sin. God says, you have forsaken me. Right? That's a sin. You have forsaken me because I am the spring of living water. I'm the source of life. And your sin is you are disconnected from me, so there's no fruit in your life. That's the sin through Jeremiah God was talking. And when you shared this passage 3 weeks ago, I thought it was very timely because it was the hottest day in San Jose in my life. The 3 weeks ago, like temperature 10 or 7, or yesterday was hot, but we didn't feel it was hot at all because we already went through that hottest day 3 weeks ago. And when that hot day, air was thick, hot, stuffy, I look at my garden, all the plant, it turning, all the edges turning to the brown, and the crispy, it's dying, right? It's a hot day, it killed the plant. But we know they will be strong, they'll be okay as long as we water them. That's the plant. If you are connected, your root connected to the water, if your root connected to the source of water, heat, drought, hot weather doesn't bother you. That's what God's saying. These worldly people, they respond to this world. You know how many people suffer during the pandemic, right? People say, there's no social, I'm suffocating, I'm dying, this pandemic is really hard, right? That's a circumstance. It's a hot, heat day and a drought. But Bible says, if you are connected to me, source of life, so temperature doesn't matter. You can be greener. Your leaves can be greener, and you can be better. Yesterday there was again Korean church event. It was a really joy because the first time since the pandemic broke up, all 14 Korean United Methodist churches in Bay Area, they all gathered, have a big like a mission dinner, right? And then it was the first time the real food, not like a lunchbox, real tray food, what we used to do before pandemic, food served, and then they're like all the 14 churches gather, pastors gather, and we celebrate the kinds of, now at last we can resume the in-person gathering. And there's a mission report. 3 churches among the 14 churches gave a report how the church went through some transition. Like one church about to be closed, but a retired pastor volunteered to serve the church, so they didn't have to, they stopped, they avoiding the closing church. One church changed their location, and the other church, they planted a new church. So it was really joy. Like we heard 70 Korean immigrant churches closed in United States during the pandemic. There are not many Korean churches, the immigrant churches, but 70 Korean immigrant churches in the United States closed last 3 years. I don't know how many traditional American churches closed during this pandemic. But while a lot of churches dying, we heard the news. Some churches still struggling to grow, doing something new. So that was a really joy. And I remember this passage. Yeah, pandemic is like a drought. It's like a heating day. Our life is going through a difficult time. But those who trust the Lord, those who are connected, those who are connected to the source of God, source of life, to the God, and their leaves are always green. Right? That's how I felt yesterday, our mission dinner. It was a big joy. And when I talk about the church, the Christian, they are different from these worldly people. Even during the hardship, they were so eager. When we share that, we're not talking about worldly success. Some people say crisis is opportunity, right? And they more aggressively invest during when economy down. They buy the stocks more, and then they renovate their restaurant, and they become sometimes more successful. It's not that Christian life we are talking about. By the way, Diane and Aaron, Jean already left for the picnic with the youth. So I think you need to call to Jean. He might come to pick you up. Okay. All right. Let's continue. So the Christian success, when we says when you are connected to God, your leaves will be always greener. We're not talking about you are successful, richer, this worldly way, and the people will look up on you. It is different. Yesterday again, I was a very touching worship, the Korean mission dinner, because a pastor who preached, he is actually pastor in Cupertino. He shared his life. He said that he has grown up one of the most successful Korean church in Korea. When he was young, his home church members were 20, 30. In 30, 40 years, members became 100,000. That happened. Like a few Korean churches had that phenomenal success, 100,000 members. And so when he grew up in that church, he see every day the church is growing so fast. And then when he became a education director at the church, he said, I work with 600 Sunday school teachers with 3,700 Sunday school children. That was his life. So he confessed, he thought if we become a pastor of his own church, very successful pastor with a big church, because that's the way he grown up. But after he came to the United States, he became a pastor, and in Cupertino, here and there, he planted a new church. He went through a lot of a difficult time. Church did not grow up, and he struggled. So he heard God's voice one day. You won't be a pastor of a big church, and you want your church ministry reviving and successful. That's not the way I'm thinking about you. You're not going to go that way. He heard God's voice that way. So he was broken at the time, and then he now confessed my attitude. understanding about ministry is very different now. I made many mistakes, and there were many failures. When he said that, it really touched my heart because he's my friend. I know he's a very man of pride, an ambitious person. But when he confessed, I went through a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes, and there was a lot of failure. That, I believe, was the fruit of his life. Not like a church, they started a church was growing really big, reviving. Maybe he could have shared it. If say, hey, my brothers and sisters, my colleague pastors, my ministry last 10 years have been successful this much, then, other pastors will think, whoa, that's a good story, congratulations, you did a good job. That's it, right? But when he shared his failure, his mistake, it really touched our heart. We felt really divine moment. So how God walked, transformed ambitious young man to truly mature person. That's the fruit we are talking about. God says, if you are connected to me, I'm not saying your country will be really reviving and successful. That's all the mistake of the great king of Israel, Jeroboam II, and all other kings. When the country was big, they thought, we are the right people of God, God will be happy. But there was a time God was angry most. You totally misunderstand me. I'm not asking you that like a successful people, I want your heart to change. So through Jeremiah, God saying, I want you to be different. I want you to change it. I want to see through, transformation. Problem was, it did not happen. It did not happen to us. It did not happen to Israelite. So now God, last Sunday, what he shared is God now challenging Israel by giving the new relationship to them. So one of the reasons they will not get changed it, because Israelite was thinking, we're okay. We're people of God. God is our Father. Even during this crisis, we'll be still okay. That comfort didn't make them change themselves. I mean, how are you going through pandemic? As a Christian, are you the positive people thinking, oh, the pandemic broke up, whole world is going down, people dying, and then we are suffocating, and then everything going down? We are okay, but we are okay because God is our Father, God is our protector. We will go through this pandemic, we'll be okay. If you think that way, maybe there's some credit, you're better than people get depressed, some positive attitude you have. What should change? God keeps sending the difficulties in our life and pandemic, everything. And if that's not our opportunity, that we really, what's wrong? God, why are you doing this? How should I live differently? How should I be different? What do you want me to do? If you don't struggle with that, just keep being positive. How you can get changed? That was Israelite. They keep saying, oh, we are children. You are our father. So you will never fall. And then God say, no, I'm not going to talk about this relationship anymore. I try to love you as a father. I gave you this relationship that you are my children, I'm your father, and I thought if I do that way, then you would not turn from following me. That's what I expected. If I pour my love to you, if you truly understand I'm your father, you are my children, I thought you're not turning away from me. There's no change. You keep turning away from me. As a child, there's nothing going on, so I'm going to change this relationship. I am your husband. Which means we're still in love, but you should be responsible. As much as I love you, I want you to love me. And you know that in Bible, how much this loving relationship, loving struggle, they're going through. As a Christian, you get used to this term, love, because Bible talk about love too much. Love is a patient, and love is everything. But other religious scripture, there are not many times you can see love. Because religion is not about love. It's more about sacrifice, worship, maybe living righteously. Maybe there might be other religion. But religious scripture, if you say other religion, love is not a common term. The Christian Bible, love is everywhere, right? God is keep talking about love. What's the greatest commandment? What's the greatest commandment? What's the first commandment? You all know that, right? Not just because of passage, but you all know that Mark chapter 12, a scribe came to Jesus, and which commandment is the first of all? What is the most important thing in this religion, in this Christianity? And Jesus answered, it's a quotation mark, it's a side. He inciting because it's not what he said. Jesus brought up the passage from the Old Testament. It's the most famous, important passage to all the Jewish in history, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4, 5. because this passage's name is a Shema passage, Shema Israel. Shema in Hebrew means listen. Why I'm giving sermon, if I say, listen up, what I'm doing it. I'm going to tell you the most important thing. That's the Bible. In the Bible, Shema Israel, listen up Israel. The most famous, important part, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. Deuteronomy chapter 6, 4, 5, we call the core, the credo, the most important part of Old Testament, Shema Israel, Ho Israel. And Jesus said, yeah, that is the most important commandment. It's about love. It's not about even, the being righteous and obedient. It's about love, right? And with not just love your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. And this is not love between teenager love, man and woman, second, the physical love. You know what is this love, right? Love with the true heart, giving all your heart. Jesus is talking about that love. I think most of you know this book, right? Very classic book, the 5 love languages. Whether you read this book or not, you will know, if you're mature people, there's language of love. You know what it is? Maybe young people might not know. It's like there's a different way. Each person has their own way they feel love, right? Some people, if they receive praise, they feel, oh, that person loved me. Some people like quality time. Like these are 5 things. When you do this thing, your spouse or your maybe girlfriend, boyfriend, they feel like, oh, I'm so loved. Did you figure out your love language? So you should know your love language when you feel your love, and when you make your girlfriend or boyfriend or your spouse feel love. After Hannah and I get married, if your husband and wife have the same love language, you're so lucky. I don't know, it's good or bad, but very rare. Everybody has different love language, and after 2 years we get married, I found out Hannah's love language. That's an act of service. So she feel love when she receive my care. It's a dictionary description. Act of love is washing the dishes, cleaning your house, do the vacuum, then your spouse feel your love. So that's Hannah's love language, right? That if I'm washing the dishes, if I do the house cleaning, she feel like, oh, my husband loves me, so he does that. So if you want that if you want to show that you love Hannah, go to the kitchen, do it after lunch. If you do the washing the shopping, she feel like you love her. Really. Once in a while, she says, oh, that young man is just so sweet, it's good. Oh, why that young man is so sweet? Oh, she helped me today, the washing. She just come to me and then, morning, Hannah, is there anything that I can help you washing the dishes, cleaning is that make that person really good? Oh, yeah, I feel like that person is a really nice person. That's how she responds. Do you know my love language? When I see people on the worship on time, I feel so loved. So if you fail that, whatever you do, oh, I want to visit the pastor's house, I want to give pastor some food, I want to call pastor during the week, have my quality time. No, if you come worship on time, I feel so loved. If you're not, I don't feel loved. So after 2 years we get married, I found out, Hannah doesn't feel she's loved. Because I think my language is more like quality time. Like, hey, let's have a tea time and go to a restaurant. Let's have a deep talk about love, a deep talk about life. That's more like the way that I feel love. And these 5 all we need. We cannot neglect one of them. There's specific theme how people love. So after 2 years we get married. One of the most common conversation between husband and wife, I don't feel I'm really loved. All those years, I'm lonely. I doubt you really truly love me. And whenever that thing come up, 100% the other person's response, what are you talking about? All those years that I loved you that much, how could you say that I don't love you? You heard about this conversation, right? We always love in our way, and then we think we did enough, but the other person, I feel lonely. I feel like I'm not feeling like you truly love me, right? That's our loving language. And after 2 years, I found out, okay, Hannah's language is act of service. So I try to make her happy to doing that. You know what the problem is? Because that's not my love language. That's not my gene. I'm keep failing. When I intentionally thinking, okay, wash the dishes. The dishes piled up. Okay, Hannah will be angry. She's not gonna feel love. I should do it. Then I do it. But I'm keep forgetting, right? So after So after 2 years we got married, I figured it out. Next to 20 years, now about 22 years, you know my conclusion? I don't love her. That's my conclusion. My conclusion is this: I don't love her truly. All those years, I loved her in my way. My love is very selfish because I love her in my way. I don't love her in the way that she wanted. So that's not true love. I don't love her. I realized it. I think that's the fruit of my marriage life that I become mature, realized at last, I don't love her truly. I'm not a right person. That is what's going on between Israel and God. You know, today's passage, I'm going to give you this challenge. Try to figure out who's the speaker. Because these verses in chapter 8, verse 18, they are all mixed together. Who's the speaker? Is Jeremiah, God, or people of Israel? You know, by the way, when you read the prophetic book, if you're confused, if it's a prophet says, if God says, that doesn't matter. Because most of prophetic book, prophet as God's spokesperson, they fully assimilated, they fully mingled each other. Prophet says what God says to them, what God feared prophet says, and then God talked through the prophet. So if it's a prophet or God, you're not sure, then that's a God or prophet. Either one is fine. But look at this passage. Oh, my comforter in sorrow, my heart is faint within me. Who is me? Who is my? My heart is faint within me, and I'm in sorrow. Who's this? It's Jeremiah, or it means God. Next verse. Listen to the cry of my people from a land far away. Is the Lord not in Zion? Is her king no longer there? Who's saying that? Is the Lord not in Zion? And her king no longer there? Who's saying this? People of Israel. It's the cry of the people, my people being the people of Israel. The people of Israel, they were saying, God is in Zion. God is in Jerusalem. God is in church. Even if a pandemic comes, we still should be strong. We should be okay. Isn't the king, God is with my king? Isn't God is my father? God is with me? So people of Israel was keeping very positive. God should be with us. And to them, it's like, we love you, right? What's wrong with you? Why you feel don't love? And God is, I'm in deep sorrow. I'm very angry because they do not put me in the center of my life, center of their life. The way that maybe God feel God love is when we have God in our heart, right? The man after my own heart. What does that mean? Like, I want you have me at the center of your heart. Every decision you make, every attitude of your life, I want you talk with me, you aligned with me, you do with me, right? But center of in our life, success, money, and something like this worldly thing, it just comes Sunday, hey God, we worship you. We read the Bible, and we are religious. And actually, we help the other people. I feel like I'm a good person. But God is saying, I don't feel loved. So in your heart, still, I'm not at the center of your life. I'm not center of your heart, right? So God is very provoked and anger. And the reason God is sorrow, why you do not love me, or you do not truly love me, you do not let me feel I'm loved by you, you don't know. That's the reason I'm sorrow. Look at what the Israel keeps saying. The harvest is past, summer has ended, we are not saved. Who's saying this? We, Israel, right? Israel is saying, it's a good time come. All the waiting, all the harvest is come. Now my life should be better. After all those suffering, I'm expecting God's blessing. But why there's no blessing? God, why don't you show your salvation to us? Why our life is not getting better? Where is your salvation? But people of Israel are saying that. And to them, what God says, since my heart, my people are crushed, I am crushed. I mourn. The horror grips me. Who's saying this? God, right? My people are crushed, and I am crushed. Maybe Jeremiah or God. And the famous passage, why we call the book of Jeremiah the weeping prophet, is chapter 9, verse 1. Oh, that my head were a spring of water, and my eyes a fountain of tears. I would weep day and night for the slain of my people. I would weep day and night for the slain of my people. This is the reason we call the book of Jeremiah the weeping prophet. But who's saying this? Is it Jeremiah? It's God. Through Jeremiah, God is saying that I am weeping because weeping day and night because of the sin of my people. You know, most ironic, the funny thing here, who made people of God, Israel, slain here? Who sent the destruction to Israel? It is God. By Assyria, Babylon, God brought them. Why? Why God bring the destruction to the people of Israel? So they are crushed, and God says, my people are crushed. Who did that? God did. And God said, I am crushed. You know, only way we can understand, from my perspective, is a Korean mom's traditional punishment. I don't know if you went through it when I was young. Yeah, I got the corporal punishment from my parents. Very common. I never regret it. I never felt sorry because it's remind me my mother's story. You know, when mothers whipping their child, right? While the child is, the careful, their hands are bruised. Parents' heart, right? I mean, they're crying in their heart. I mean, some actually, mother actually crying while they're, whipping their children in traditional way. Because I don't let you live that way. My children, you should be changed. You should be different. But you don't get changed. So I need to punish you, right? But while punishing their children, parents are weeping. That's the God saying that my people are crushed because of whatever I do, there's no change. They're always complacent. They always think God is my parents. I should be okay. I don't see any true transformation, and I'm not cool. Like, some think like, oh, let's be cool each other. You live my life, you live your life, I live my life. That's not parents, right? Parents, like, if children don't go the way the parents want, their heart was stirred and spoiled, and they cannot just ignore. And they jump in and then try to help or fix, give healing. One of the Korean drama Netflix that I'm watching these days, there was a man who was drug addicted, and his mother reported to the police that put him in jail. And the mother is crying like, what have I done? What have I done? My poor child is in jail. Why did she do that? Because of love, my son should not live with this drug addicted person. Even though I put my son in jail, I still should do it. And then wasn't she happy because I put her son in jail? She's crying day and night. That is what God is going through in the book of Jeremiah. My people are crushed. God crushed them. I'm so crushed. I'm crying because things not going. Then there's no healing. You know the worst part here? God knows even if God does that, they will not get changed. Why then is there no healing for the wound of my people? Why, even if I punish them, there's no change? But I can stop, I can ignore it, I can just let them live their way. So God is crying. So you know what? The book of Jeremiah, the subtitle is Jeremiah the Weeping Prophet. I want to change this. Jeremiah the Weeping God. Through the Jeremiah, God is weeping for the people. Why God punished them? For people not get changed. God is struggling, and that's a parent's heart. During this summer, I shared already with you, I visit my mother. She's now on the bed, and she's not like walking around. So, when parents get that old, what children do? They clean the things up for the parents. So I open her dress, the drawers, and all the old, like a picnic cloth, right? She will never wear it or have an opportunity to wear it again. So all her beautiful clothes that I pile them up, okay, I'm gonna throw them away. My mom will never wear this, the jacket or winter jacket or like this, the dress anymore, right? While I'm doing that, what happened usually? You find your parents' diary. So I found my mom's diary, and that's a privilege. I don't know how many of you already went through. If your parents write a journal, and if they pass away, anyway, it's the children who will open it unless they destroy them some moment, right? It's a privacy. They never want anybody read their diary, as you know, right? But children, if you become certain age, your parents not capable of keeping their privacy anymore, or they're not there anymore, you have a privilege to read them. So I read that last, my mom's diary. I cried. That when I was 20s, wild young man, living my life of a dream, pursuing my dream and pleasure, and what my mom went through, right? And what her heart, what was going through. You all know that, right? You have some similar things, right? While I'm living my own life, what my parents went through, how her heart was. So I really cried a lot with our journal, right? And the things even I told myself, man, you should have been better. Man, you should have lived differently. Like, thick, hot tears falling down. My mother's actually, lying right beside me. She doesn't know I'm reading the whole journal, but she doesn't know, right? So I'm doing that. You know the most interesting part? So I came back from Korea to United States. Do you think I get changed? Surprisingly, not. I mean, still I'm who I am. Still I live my life in my way. I mean, I want. Like any of you, like at the end of your day, is there any of you like feel like I live today perfectly according to the will of God? I feel like I was righteous, sacrificial, and sacrificing, and I think I lived today perfect life. Is there anybody live that way? You all have a high standard. And maybe what my mom wrote down in her journal, I would have known it. I would recognize it 20 years ago. I know what was going on, but we just didn't know clearly. Right? And then that when at last when we found it out, we are crying before them, big tears of repentance. Strangely, we not get changed. Because that's who we are. And that's what God's saying. Why then is there no healing? All those 1,000 years, the Moses, David, desert, the suffering and salvation went through all this history. How come they always become like this? So while I'm reading this, I actually redefine my understanding of Bible's genre has been changed. I shared it with you. I think the genre of the Bible is love letter. God's love letter. It's not an ethical book. It's not the law book of law. It's not a historical book. It's a love letter. God is just writing about his love to you. That was my understanding last year. During this Jeremiah study, what I felt is the Bible is parents' diary. The Bible. God is writing down all those years while I'm raising this Israel. What God went through, that the boiling, stirring heart, and then why they not listen to me? What should I do? And if I'm poor angry, they might be too crushed. I don't want to do that, but I can just ignore them. It's like all throughout the history, God's diary. Your mother's diary. It is the Bible. And after reading that much, here, we're not that different. But if there's any small change, we realize what we have done. When you read, God gave his son Jesus. Boss, what was I doing? Why did he have to do this? What's this all about? In some moment in our life, we found out, confessed, okay, I didn't love her. That was only my way to love. That was only my way to serve. That was only my life. And never let her, in my wife's case, never let her be truly feel loved. And never let God feel truly loved. I never responded to him in his way. I just lived my own way, thinking I'm okay. That moment come, I think it might be fruit of our life. We're not gonna get better. We're not gonna get saint. We're not gonna get truly be a different person, better than other people. But some moment in our journey in our life, the moment come, we confess, hey, didn't love. Now I admit, I didn't live correctly. Never lived better. And I don't know if that moment accumulated, maybe slow, slight change really happen in our life. Maybe. We're not going to really become angel. But the small change will come from true realization that who we are, how we have lived, what our Father went through while we are reading Bible, his journal. Maybe something will find it out. That's the book of Jeremiah. Let's pray together.